So today we're here with Andras, and Andras, you work in a company called ErgoMania. You're based in Budapest. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about ErgoMania. You work with startups, you've been working with banks for a while. Maybe just give us a little bit of background on the concept of the company.
Okay, we are like a relatively small design team, so we are around like 20 people, and we are operating in Budapest, but we have clients and projects from all over Europe. So Hungary, Netherlands, Germany, UK, and so on. And we work for bigger institutions like banks and insurance companies, but also we help startups to put their product into order and have an excellent UX design. And we are specialized on with the startups also on fintech and payment solutions in general. We have other type of projects as well, not just financial ones, but like 70-80% of our projects are finance related.
And what brought you into setting up your own company and being so entrepreneurial?
Okay, in general, I was dealing with UX for almost 20 years. So I started as a freelancer.
You look good for your age.
Yeah. So I was working as a freelancer for several years. At one point, I noticed that I can't handle all of my projects alone. So I started to hire people one by one. And we started to focus on finances or financial business 8-9 years ago, when we started to work for UniCredit Bank, and afterwards for other banks in Hungary, and afterwards Brussels, Malta, Poland, and so on. And step by step, we recognized that we have a strength on this field. So we started to communicate that we are fintech UX company, and also we were selecting the people who were interested about this topic to be designers in own companies and so on. And now I think we are one of the very few companies who are mostly working for this industry in Europe.
Okay, and when you talk about your customers, you suggest that your customers across Europe. Could you just give a bit more background and understanding of what kind of customers you have, how you work with them, where they're based?
Many of them based in Budapest, Hungary. So most of the Hungarian banks, they have their seat here in the capital. So some of them like OTP Bank, what is a regional player, Raiffeisen, Erste, also K&H, what is the Hungarian branch of KBC Bank. But we're working for internationally for Rabobank. We were helping them to create design system for one of their startup for TreasureUp. BNP Paribas was our client from Brussels. And but we had banking projects all over Europe. Actually, we had Western Union as well, and so on.
Okay. Do you work with startups as well?
Yeah, we work with startups as well, because we like to work with them for multiple reasons. Because in some companies, in some countries, we are mentoring as well, smaller companies. We work with KBC Started, or in Austria, we are mentoring startups, and we get into contact with them. And also we like their fresh approach. So when you are working with smaller companies, you learn a lot about the industry, the new solutions, the new directions. And you can use this knowledge also when you're working for bigger institutions. And also it happened that sometimes we are connecting the startups with our banking clients as well for cooperation purposes.
Okay, so we touched earlier on the subject of Sequoia recently, talking about how the UX design is coming into its own world now. It's becoming much more important than maybe a few years ago. Are you seeing that change the perception amongst companies in the market you're in?
Oh, it's we have a kind of mixed observation. I think that our existing clients, they started to focus more on UX. So they started to incorporate, and they use it more often for project what they just solved before internally. So I noticed the growing interest at existing clients. In our industry, several times we get new clients on conferences and events. This doesn't work anymore very well, because even there are some webinars and all conferences, the networking part sucks basically. So you can't make new friends online or it's not very effective. There are some attempts and solutions, but like random chat and these kind of things are not the best ways to get valuable contacts. Also, we saw a growing interest, especially in Austria, from our most important markets. But it's more like kind of collecting information and preparing for something to do in the future after COVID. So we see that like many companies, they want to focus on this field because they understood that it's important and critical for their success, but they are still in survival mode. So they don't want to spend on UX, they just want to get more knowledgeable about this topic. And when things they get better, they want to focus on this field. And of course, I think it's parallel with IT developments as well, that many companies, they understood that they need this, but they want to keep their money reserves for unexpected bad situations instead of spending all the money what they have on development and afterwards have complications with cash flow and so on.
Okay, but obviously the market has changed. I mean, we're seeing cloud, especially in banking, as being the next huge industry. And clearly with Amazon and Google and Microsoft all heavily going into this sector, we're already seeing their products having both artificial intelligence, algorithmic, looking at what you want to have on your app, what you want to see on your product. Are you finding that when you're talking to customers, they're also seeing more discussions with you about artificial intelligence and cloud and how they interact with user experience?
Artificial intelligence, I didn't notice between our clients that they would focus on that. So I see that the banking clients with whom we are working with, they're focusing more on to develop the values of customer journeys, what they have. So I think they want to focus on solutions, what they create like an okay experience first, and afterwards probably they go to the next step. But they are not focusing on very advanced solutions. The only thing what we noticed that, for example, we are dealing with voice solutions as well, voice control, voice banking, that there is a growing interest about that field. We noticed also that KBC Belgium, they plan to launch their new voice assistant, Kate, in Belgium and Czech Republic. And it kind of stirred up a little bit the water. So banks, they got more interested about these solutions, what obviously related to artificial intelligence, but like not to make their existing solutions smarter, but rather to introduce a new channel.
But that's a chatbot, yeah, effectively.
Chatbot or voice bot. So like you can it depends. It has very similar logic. It's not exactly the same. Even the conversations can be a bit different when you are writing or when you are talking. But yes, and also like it has the importance that because voice is ideal to create kind of touchless remote experiences, like not super remote, but you can talk to a machine or whatever from 2-3 meters distance, or even, of course, like ATM is not the best example, but like to get like a number when you are in a branch, you should not touch something. So it will have like a growing importance. And of course, voice doesn't work without AI.
Okay, just wanted to touch on open banking as well, because obviously a lot of these innovative ideas are probably coming because open banking's opened up the market. We're noticing that open banking is not global. We spoke to Australia recently, and they've only just opened up to open banking in Australia. So Europe seems to be quite far further ahead than other regions when it comes to this. How do you find open banking? Does it make it easier for you to talk to customers? Are you finding different trends in the market because of the historic?
We see that like open banking has like multiple positive effects. One of them is that like open banking helps the users to compare better solutions because they can switch or get new banking accounts without closing the old ones, and they can integrate with one interface. Also, what we have seen is a positive direction at some of our clients, that they have to make open banking solutions. And since they are changing the internet bank or the mobile bank, they improve the user experience as well in the same time. So since they are forced to follow this trend, they do the other homeworks as well parallel, because they recognize that like it's easier to do everything at once than just to bring a crappy open banking solution and afterwards update the user experience or vice versa. So it's better to make this step once. What we see that like open banking will have probably like a first impact like national open banking. I would say that like you connect, like banks are connecting more to create solutions what helps you to connect your accounts in one country. So like, for example, cash pooling and multinational account handling is still an issue for banks, I think. But like within country, like it will be soon the norm.
Okay. I mean, PSD2 perhaps will have a bigger impact on UX than we thought, but it's interesting to hear your thoughts on that one. And while we're on the subject of UX again, what's your best case UX design have you seen in an app maybe recently?
Like, I think like when we are dealing with finances, I think it's a pretty standard thing to focus on Revolut, what they have done and how they are working. But I consider more Revolut as a kind of baseline and standard and not like a golden standard. So like if you reach that level, you are done, because obviously you have to do something better, at least in some areas, because otherwise you can't beat or compete with them. What we noticed that usually in financials, there is not a solution that like you think that like it's the best, but it's better you follow different players and you like or use some solutions from them. For example, like in Revolut, kind of seamlessness and easiness is a good thing. When you check Boong, the social features or the fun features are more important. The British solutions, like they are more kind of polished and sleek, and they have a more elegant character. But we are checking also WeChat, because like it has like a lot of payment options what are not standard in Europe. And also, I think if you are thinking about like intelligence assistant, Bank of America is a good example with the Erica assistant. So it's not very common to check American examples, but I think this is a pretty good one. And sometimes like we are checking Australian solutions as well. For example, ING Australia had like very good mobile solutions some years ago and still worth to follow.
Well, we've picked up a company in Australia called 86400. That's a very good mobile app. We covered it last week in a story as well. So, you know, we're having N26, 86400. It appears to be a growing trend with these numbers in the names of the companies. Perhaps that will continue. Perhaps we need to recall Disruption Banking 2020.
Yes, something like that.
So, Andras, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. If people want to find out more, it would be great if we could share some more details about ErgoMania and how you help customers. So perhaps you could forward some of that to us as well. But in the meantime, we hope that things pick up, because UX design in London, at least, is starting to be a much higher priority than it was 6 months ago. So we hope very much to hear more from you about that as well soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think so.
Cheers.
Cheers.